Welcome, everyone, to another edition of HogvilleNET Hoops. I'm your host, Kevin McPherson. It is a glorious Saturday. The Arkansas Razorbacks playing for the first time this season without all-world superstar. Got to be the SEC Player of the Year. Got to be a first-team All-American. Got to be in the conversation for National Player of the Year. Someone's going to give him that nod out of all the awards that are out there. I think when we look at the postseason award stuff, Darius Acuff Jr. out of the lineup, and we didn't do a pregame show. I actually worked on one yesterday and had technical difficulties, and I had to get to the 6A state boys high school tournament down in Bryant, so I was unable to get that worked out and get that published. And with an 11 a.m. tip, I just never got a pregame show out. But one of the things I talked about with Acuff back is, in a sense, Missouri's going to see a different Arkansas league team because where DJ Wagner is not on the level of Darius Acuff in terms of what we just talked about, there is a big difference defensively between both of them. And we haven't, and no team really in the SEC has seen DJ Wagner anywhere near the role he was in last year, helping lead Arkansas turn its season around and get to an NCAA tournament. And you knew it would have to be that way because you've already been without Carter Knox. I think this was the eighth game, the last nine that he didn't play, and the one in the nine that he did play was only 6 minutes against Auburn. That was a home win. But DJ Wagner, Malik Thomas, Trevor Brazil, eventually Malik Euan, even Nick Pringle in his minutes, Billy Richmond before fouling out in the final minute of regulation. Arkansas shorthanded. We saw what attrition did to Arkansas last year, yet the Razorbacks continue to persevere, show resiliency, get better even defensively. Less was more. Oddly enough, it's kind of been the same thing again. As weird as that sounds, it's not doesn't seem like a formula to get better, but in some ways, this was Arkansas's one of Arkansas's top three performances on the season. In fact, this is Arkansas's second quad one win away from home against a team that'll be an NCAA tournament team. The other one was Texas Tech in Dallas, a neutral site game. So this is the first road win. Arkansas finished 5-5 in true road games and 5-4 on the road in the SEC this year. So this is a huge win, 88-84 over unranked Missouri, but an NCAA tournament bound Missouri team, a good Missouri team. It was an overtime win. We saw Arkansas, what happened to Arkansas going to overtime against Alabama and players fouling out, and you were already shorthanded, and it felt like deja vu in that regard. But this Arkansas team, the resiliency, winning its last two games now after getting blown out a week ago today and just embarrassed on national television against, the number one team in the league, Florida, the Razorbacks winning back-to-back games against Texas, against Missouri. And there are a lot of heroes in this game, and we're going to talk about a lot of it. Arkansas finishes the regular season 31 games, 23-8 overall, 13-5 in the SEC, which is the exact record I predicted in my preseason back in, I think, September, not only several weeks, but more than a month, almost 2 months prior to the start of the regular season. I projected Arkansas to finish second in the SEC, tied with Kentucky at 13-5. That would be the final league record. Well, Arkansas gets the 13-5. They'll finish no worse than a two-way tie, just like I predicted. But instead of Kentucky, it'll be Alabama. If Alabama beats Auburn at home tonight, that game tips off at 7:30. Arkansas started at 11 a.m. There's still several hours to go. So if Alabama takes care of its business, both teams will finish 13-5 in league play. Alabama will get the 2 seed in the SEC tournament if the Tide win tonight by virtue of their head-to-head win in double overtime by 2 points on their home court in Tuscaloosa, back in February. So Arkansas technically, we knew this was already the case, no worse than the 3 seed. If Bama loses tonight, Arkansas finishes sole possession of second place in the league and will get the 2 seed. The 2 and 3 seed are on the same side of the bracket. The 1, which is Florida, and the 4 seed, which if Tennessee can win at home, they came into today in sole possession of fourth place in the league at 11-6. But right now, Vanderbilt in Knoxville has maintained a double-digit lead throughout. As we get down to the fourth quarter here, it's at a commercial right now. I have it on volume off, and I've got the game on here. Going to keep an eye on that. But there's a logjam. If Tennessee loses this game, there's still a logjam. There's a potential for Kentucky with a home win over Florida, which is no easy lift. There's all kinds of scenarios that could still play out for that fourth seed. The top four seeds get the double bye. But again, this was Arkansas's second quad one away from home win of the season against an NCAA tournament bound team. Now, I mentioned the other one was a neutral site. This was the first true road win, quad one win against an NCAA tournament bound team of the season. And what a perfect time to get it, right? On the last day of the regular season. Again, Arkansas finishes 5-4 on the road in league play, 8-1 at home at Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas was 17-1 in home games this season, including 16-1 at BWA. The other one was that win in North Little Rock over Fresno State. But the four previous wins on the road in the league were against OU. OU may have a weird pathway still potentially not really on Lenardi's bubble right now, but if OU can beat Texas at home, that's an NCAA tournament team, or excuse me, on the road, I think at Texas tonight. OU's got some quality wins. That'd be another one away from home, and then they would need to do some work in the SEC tournament. There may be a pathway for OU if it gets on a serious run like it did last year, finishing 6-12 in the league regular season, to make just slip into the tournament. There's a possibility that that road win for Arkansas by 4 points a while back could be another away from home quad one because that counts as quad one because of OU's net ranking, but that's a long shot. Arkansas also had a road win against LSU, the bottom feeder in the league. Mississippi State was another one. And Ole Miss. So all bottom feeders really until today. The first road win in the league play for Arkansas against a team with a winning record in league play. By the way, Missouri drops to 20-11 on the season. 10-8 is how the Tigers finished in the league. Arkansas swept the Tigers this year. Both games were battles. Just a couple of, little over 2 weeks ago, I think, when Arkansas defeated Missouri at home. I was at that game at Bud Walton Arena, back and forth. But you had a lot again. As great as Acuff has been this year, we've got his picture on the screen. One of the reasons is we got a lot to talk about as we move through this. We're going to have some recruiting updates, including some new intel today. But also we're going to talk about Acuff and how this is shaping up for him in terms of All-American status, Player of the Year in the SEC, some other things he's accomplished that are just historically great. I'm not talking about even generational, but multiple generations have passed since a player in the league has done what he's done, those kinds of things. And so we're going to talk a lot about Acuff. He's on the screen, although he didn't play today. But I felt like coming into this game, Arkansas had a real shot at winning this. I didn't think, oh, Acuff's out, this is going to be a long shot. I really thought Arkansas had a chance because I thought DJ Wagner is a completely different look defensively. And because Billy Richmond is Arkansas's most versatile defender and plugged into the starting lineup, getting crazy 30 plus minutes because of how shorthanded Arkansas is and Carter Knox out. And because Nick Pringle's actually Arkansas's best frontline defender in certain scenarios and against certain matchups. And that was actually the case today, even though statistically you look at him and go, he didn't give Arkansas much and he couldn't stay on the court. When he was on the court, he was Arkansas's defense. And when you added DJ and Billy into the mix, and Trevor Brazil active as hell today, and then Malik Thomas. This was Arkansas's best defensive lineup I've seen in league play, and the defense was really sturdy out of the gates. Now this was a game of runs, and Pringle got in foul trouble, and when he did, Malik Euan came in, and for the first 32 minutes of the game, that was a disaster. In fact, Arkansas, after leading by 15 multiple times in the first half, it was down to a 3-point lead at halftime. Arkansas starts the second half. Pringle back on the floor. Arkansas with a 5-0 run, goes back up 8. Pringle picks up his third foul, goes out. Euan comes in. Mizzou starts going on runs, and now it's a Missouri 62-57 lead, 5-point lead. Between the 8 and 9 minute mark, and to that point, Malik Euan had 1 of 7 field goal shooting, 0 of 2 at the foul line, a couple of rebounds, a turnover, and just some really bad plays, some really soft plays, statue stuff on the defensive end. Where you saw drives in the paint, there's such a slow or no rotation from Euan. It was just really ugly. And at that point in the game, Pringle, in the minutes he'd been on the court, was a box score plus 14 because just him being out there, the drives were different from Missouri. They weren't as good, even though statistically you look at Pringle and go, well, what did he really do? It was just a different defensive team with him on the court to that point. But either way, but at that time, Euan himself had the worst box plus on the team, -10. So with 8 minutes to go, Euan gets his second field goal. It was a lob pass for a dunk. I think it was either Billy Richmond. I think it was Billy Richmond that made the little lob from the dunk from one dunker spot to the other. And Euan finally got going. He finally started being assertive on the glass, making a few more defensive plays, getting his offense going. Again, he started 1 of 7. He finishes 6 of 12. So he's one of the heroes in this game. Malik Thomas with a career high matching 28 points, playing all 45 minutes. DJ Wagner gets the start, plays all 45 minutes. I put a tweet out yesterday when we found out that Acuff wasn't going to play about DJ Wagner's last 5 games going back to that Alabama game when that was a tough one, but he actually gave Arkansas some good stuff off the bench in that game. But he coming into this one, he was 10.2 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2 assists, a 3.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio, even better than Acuff's on the season. Small sample size, 5 games, but these are all league games. In Arkansas, that's how you want DJ Wagner to finish this regular season going into postseason. Shooting over 50% from the field coming into today, and over 47% from three on modest volume, 8 of 17. So he was checking all the right boxes leading up to this. This was his own moment. I really thought coming into this, Arkansas might surprise Missouri on the road because this would be a better defensive Arkansas team than we have seen for the most part. I mean, Arkansas had a great physical matchup against Vanderbilt at home, held the Commodore to 68 points, one of the better defensive performances this team has put up. Arkansas's had a half here and there of a good defense in some games in SEC play, but can't have a complete game. And there'll be some statistical stuff you'll look at here and say, well, it wasn't a great defensive performance, but it was great for stretches. And a lot of that was DJ Wagner in combination on the court with BR3 and Nick Pringle. As oddly as it sounds in a 45-minute game, Pringle only lasts 16 minutes. But he was really good. He ends up with a team high box score +10, and that's not a misleading stat. The defense was just better, and Arkansas was doing what it does offensively. It's an elite offense. 88 points on the road, down Acuff, your leading scorer and assister, and you still Arkansas's got plenty of firepower offensively. It's the defensive side of it, and I thought again DJ in the lineup, and as much as you could get Pringle on the court, it just made the defense better. But it was so good to see Euan. Euan ends up a box score -1, but he was -10 again with 8 minutes to go, and so +9 the last 8 minutes of regulation, the 5-minute overtime, and he scores 15 of his 17 points starting at that 8-minute mark, 8 minutes to play in the game. So 32 minutes of just dreadful basketball. He's the most frustrating Hog for me this season because he's a guy that his intensity, his locked inness, his understanding of the assignment and what it takes to compete at this level. It's like he walked into a rec league game, the way he comes out, and then you look at the other 9 guys, the other 4 Razorbacks and the other 5 players, and you're like, there's just a different level of the mentality of what it takes on the court. And then once he flips a switch, he does all league stuff sometimes, and it's just frustrating. He does it in games. His best games this year have been after he came out playing horribly, and then all of a sudden he flips a switch. So Malik Euan continues to be an enigma. He's a Jekyll and Hyde, but he was great to finish the game. And because Arkansas had built up a 15-point lead in the first half, was still in a close game, never got down more than a double-digit deficit. 5 points is as much as Arkansas trailed. So Arkansas was able to survive the bad Euan minutes and then benefited from the great Euan minutes. But let's talk about the guys again. Malik Thomas, 28 points, huge shot making, especially when Missouri started to get going. Malik Thomas for a while there when Arkansas didn't have Pringle on the court. Euan was struggling defensively. It was back and forth. Arkansas had trouble for stretches getting stops, and then you had Malik Thomas just hitting everything from three. He started 5 of 5 in this game from three. The 28 points, he wasn't always great inside the arc. Made some big buckets, though, inside the arc as well, but finishes 9 of 22 from the field. To lead Arkansas in scoring today. That's a career high, those 28 points. Leak, 5 of 6 from three, 5 of 6 at the foul line. His last free throw attempt was a miss at the end of regular, or close to the end of regulation. Would have given Arkansas, he missed the first of 2 free throws after starting the game 4-4 at the foul line. in a tie game, or excuse me, with Arkansas trailing by a point. He misses the first of two free throws. Missouri calls the timeout, come out of the timeout, Leak gets the second free throw, hit the front of the rim, rolled over to the backboard and rolled back over the rim and in to tie the game at 74 all. And so that was his only that the miss on the first of those two free throw attempts was his only free throw miss of this game. He ended up with 7 rebounds, so a strong rebounder from the guard position. We know that. He also had a couple assists, a really nice dime to Nick Pringle in overtime. That was a huge. So two of his assists, but they were both big, and that one I just described. But Leak also had a steal and a block shot, a box plus 4. He played all 45 minutes. Arkansas wins by 4. He's a box plus 4. That's how the math works. Trevor Brazil, after having a huge game, a career high 28 points in that big home win over Texas, doing, stuff in the stat sheet that night with rebounds and blocks and steals and just doing a little bit of everything. How about 19 points, a 20? Now, we know TB can get hot from three. And he's usually a guy that's pretty much toeing the line, catch and shoot. He's not really creating 3-point shots off the bounce. It's all ball movement, catch and shoot. You leave him opening. He had a struggle period kind of late in the season, hitting threes, 2 or 3 consecutive poor games. And now all of a sudden he's back to hitting threes. He was 3 of 5 against Texas, 2 of 4 tonight. But Arkansas, after jumping out to a 4-point lead in overtime, 81-77, the 4-point lead went from a 1-point lead on that Pringle dunk off that lob pass from Leak, and then you had Malik Euan left open for a three and hits it. That's his third made three. He's 3 of 4 on the season. But then it was a 5-0 run from Missouri. So Arkansas went from being up 81-77 to down 82-81. And Trevor Brazil with a huge 3-point shot from 25 feet. This might be the deepest three I've seen him stroke. It was a thing of beauty and put Arkansas back up 84-82 with 38 seconds left in overtime, a deep triple, NBA range, and Arkansas never trailed again. If you look at statistically, TB, that's one thing. He's had a lot of big performances, not consistently really, really good or great, but plenty of them this year. I've said all year long, I think he's an all-league guy. I think he should be. We'll see what happens when the dust settles, but he helped himself in these last 2 games. One of the last preview shows I did coming out of Florida, I said he really needs to step up and step up big statistically and making plays that helps Arkansas win to sort of solidify that. I think he's done it, or he should have. But how many games this year has Arkansas won because of a big shot he made in the final minute or a defensive play? If you look at Arkansas's best wins, Texas Tech and Dallas, some of the other games this season where TB stepped up and it was huge. Here's another one outside of just his total game stats where he may have made the biggest shot of the game. From that point, Arkansas never relinquished the lead. Again, 38 seconds to go, 84-82. Arkansas was trailing by 1. TB hits that big three, but TB finishes with 19 points, 8 of 14 from the field against his former team in Columbia. How good does that feel? And to sweep them this year, he was 2 of 4 from 3, only 1 of 3 at the foul line. He had an 0 for 2 trip. He hit a free throw on an and one in the first half. He really helped Arkansas get out to that 15-point lead by leading Arkansas and scoring in the first half. But 9 rebounds, that matched the team high, along with Euan. But 3 steals and a block. So when you look at his last 2 games, he's combined for 9 stocks. He had, I think it was it 3 blocks and 2 steals against Texas? Or maybe it was the other way around, but today 1 block and 3 steals. So he's been top 3 in the SEC all year in steals and blocks combined. He's the only player in the league to be top 10 in the SEC in blocks, steals, and defensive rebounds. He's been top 10 in total rebounds, top 5 in blocks per game, top 6 or 7 in steals per game. The only big man, I think, in the top 10 in steals. This dude, there's multiple ways he could be all SEC, either the defensive team, and I know that's sometimes hard to swallow when you look at a guy like Mark Mitchell and some other things that TB struggles with, walling off drives, being physical on drives, but he does a lot of things defensively, alter shots on top of which don't give you stats. But what a great game for TB today. 44 minutes, a box score plus 4. He was only out of the game for about a minute. Incredible game for Trevor Brazil. Malik Euan finishes with 17 points. Again, 15 of those coming in the final 13 minutes of the game. The last 8 minutes of regulation and the 5-minute overtime. Euan 6 of 12. Again, he started 1 of 7. So by simple math, he made his last 5 field goal attempts. A couple of dunks in there. He asserted himself. He got several offensive rebounds. We know that's a strength of his when everything else may not be working. He can be a statue on defense. And really, what happens is because he just doesn't rotate or he's so slow to react, or even get good position to begin with, it's just 4 on 5 sometimes. And so even if it's not his guy scoring on him, and a lot of times it's that too, Arkansas just breaks down. And so I know I bag on him a lot. I put a tweet out earlier, that he can be, really soft and that's what he was for 32 minutes, and then until he wasn't. And again, it's Jekyll and Hyde. It's not like he played better. He went from really bad to really good, and it's just confounding because he consistently does that. He's either really bad all game or a few games he's really bad until he's not. I know I'm kind of harping on that. It's just it's perplexing. It is perplexing. But how about again, 17 points. He made his only 3-point attempt, 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 7 at the foul line. He missed his first 3 free throws. He made 4 in overtime. 2 of them came after he had missed the front of it 1-1. Arkansas gets a stop and a steal. DJ Wagner gets fouled after getting a steal. Wagner misses both free throws. Euan gets an offensive rebound, and Missouri has to foul him, and then he makes two in a row. After starting the game 0 for 3, he made back-to-back free throws and extended Arkansas from a 2-point lead to a 4-point lead, 86-82 with 11 seconds to go. Barrett for Missouri gets a layup with 5.6 seconds left to cut it to 2, 86-84. Euan gets fouled again as Arkansas inbounds the ball, and that was a tough inbound. Had to throw over the backcourt press. Was an awkward play. Arkansas beat the 5-second count. Euan secures the ball, gets fouled immediately, and then he makes 2 more free throws to extend back to a 2-possession lead, 4 points, 88-84. And Missouri was done for. So Euan ends up having a hell of a game. Again, 9 rebounds, a couple of blocks. As many times as he gives up scores right at the rim or doesn't rotate, even if it's not his man. And when that's just part of the assignment, he doesn't. Every once in a while, he'll come in and make a block or two. And he had 2 today. He also had a steal, 3 turnovers, box score -1, 31 minutes, another heavy minute game. He's been Arkansas's low man in the minute totem pole when you look at the top 8 rotation all year. A lot of it to do with the defensive stuff I talk about and just not being locked in. And then he's turned in stuff like this though in plenty of games where he just starts turning it on, and it helps Arkansas. And so you're glad to see that. How about DJ Wagner? And I've waited. I'm 22 minutes in. I said Wagner. This is Arkansas's best performance on ball defensive performance of the season, I think. There may be another example that I've forgotten about, but I think this is Arkansas's best mano-a-mano defensive performance of the season is what DJ Wagner did to Missouri guards. Missouri guards tried to drive on him. He walled them up. He stayed in front of them. He gave them difficult angles or to where they couldn't get shots off and had to circle back out or pass it, or they forced up tough shots that they couldn't make. DJ Wagner was great on that weak side help defense, digging down on Missouri's bigs. He forced some loose balls and turnovers, disrupted what Missouri was trying to do. DJ Wagner didn't hit any threes today. He's been shooting better from 3 of late. We know that a lot of times you'd prefer him not to take him. He gets left wide open, but sometimes you just have to. I mean, that's the right shot. He's better percentage wise. I mean, 35% on the season coming into today than he's ever been in his career. Typically a 30% career 3-point shooter when you looked at his freshman and sophomore seasons. But I thought his defense really set the tone for Arkansas. Trevor Brazil making defensive plays. Billy Richmond III making defensive plays. But it was DJ Wagner, man. This guy was unreal guarding, defending against Missouri's backcourt. But ends up also with 10 points. He was averaging 10.2 in the previous 5 games. So another double-digit game for him, and had 15 against Texas, right? Arkansas's 3rd leading scorer in the midweek win, 105-85. And so he comes back with a 10-point game. He was 4 of 6 on his 2-point field goals. Made some tough drives, a la vintage DJ Wagner, driving to the basket, getting the ball up off the glass, going left or right. Really good work for DJ there. 5 assists. That was a game high matching lead, led Arkansas in game high matching. When you looked at across the other side at Missouri, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, is still played all 45 minutes. So box score +4. DJ Wagner, to me, Arkansas does not win this game without this matchup the way it played out. I'm not saying they couldn't have won with Acuff, but DJ Wagner, we can look at TB's big shot, what Euan started doing down the stretch, even Pringle's minutes. Arkansas's defense collectively was so good when he was on the court. But DJ, to me, is probably, and of course Malik Thomas with the career high and hit so many big buckets. But I think DJ may have been the MVP of this game. I think he may have been the most important player in this game because of the dynamic that Arkansas just hasn't had enough of this year, and that's multiple defensive possessions where it's bowed up, and Arkansas's resisting sometimes with force. I mean, DJ's physical. And he gave, I mean, he didn't give an inch to these Missouri guards. He just didn't. And how many times have we seen guards get all the way to the basket? There wasn't a whole lot of that. There was not a whole lot of that for Missouri today. Most of it was Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell tore Arkansas up in Fayetteville, and Arkansas won that game. Same thing today, career high 32 points. But aside from that, I mean, this was a clinic by DJ Wagner on the defensive end and had a really, really good overall floor game. Yeah, he had 3 turnovers. He had some mistakes in there, but I thought he was brilliant. Again, playing all 45 minutes, it's just not the role. Last year he led the team in minutes. This year he's nowhere near that. It's Acuff that has the minutes role leader for the Hogs, and DJ had stretches where he's playing 12, 15, 16 minutes. He's ramped up his effectiveness behind Acuff and Malik Thomas, and then today he was ready, man. I just felt like he was going to give Arkansas a chance to win before this thing ever happened, and I'll be damned if he was maybe the biggest reason that you stamped this as a W for the Razorbacks. Richmond fouled out. He played 39 minutes. He had a really good game as well, I thought. He made some mistakes. He had a few bad turnovers, but 10 points, 4 of 7 from the field, made both of his free throws. He had 6 big rebounds. Um, I got this written down now. I can't read my own handwriting. 2 steals, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So we know Billy, he stuffs a stat sheet. He does a little bit of everything. Outstanding game for him. Again, he fouled out late in regulation. Nick Pringle ends up fouling out, and Isaiah Seeley had to finish the game on the court. Seeley played 4 minutes, had an assist, had a turnover, and he played the final 2 minutes of the first half because Arkansas's foul trouble, and it hurt Arkansas defensively. And that's not on him though. He's not been in these situations. He's not a rotation piece. He's a true freshman. So even though it was breakdowns he had, you can't really hang that on him. These are just big stage moments, and Arkansas's attrition forced him onto the court. And that's why I back so much on Euan, because here's a 4th-year guy making probably good NIL money. Good for him. He has helped Arkansas this year. He, and I think, it's been the other side of the coin with him too. You're just glad that Euan finally snapped out of it and got going. I know I spend a lot of time on it. Nick Pringle, 4 points, 2 of 2 from the field at the rim. Some big moments there. Didn't really have another stat. He had, excuse me, played only 16 minutes, a team high box score +10. And again, Arkansas's resistance was just better with him on the front line. It just was. Um, I really noticed when he was in the game that when Mark Mitchell was driving in or whatever Missouri tried to do to get into the paint, they didn't get as deep. And oftentimes there was a bit of a hesitation on the final dribble and the ball and gather off the final dribble. And then you had guys like DJ Wagner and Billy Richmond III and Malik Thomas on the weak side helping down and digging in on the ball. And now it was a scrum. A lot of that was we don't see in a stat sheet. You don't necessarily credit Pringle. Was just his presence in that paint was just a little bit extra for Arkansas against a big front line, a physical front line, a bigger matchup. And you love to see Arkansas playing away from home and showing one of its better games defensively against a team that's not a great matchup on the front line. Missouri's a more physical team. They got big bodies, stronger bodies. And Arkansas, really had its probably its best performance against that kind of setup than they've had in a while. Remember the Tennessee game to open league play, another physical front line, and Tennessee imposed its will physically, but Arkansas blocked a ton of shots in that game and altered a bunch more. And so there was some of that for Arkansas uh, as well today. Let's look at some of the final stats here as we go through it, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. Arkansas finished 33 of 67 from the field, 49.3%, 8 of 16 from three, 50%. Arkansas was 11 of 19, I believe, against Texas from three. So when you combine these last two games shooting from three, and you didn't have Acuff, who's a 43, 44% three-point shooter, but you have Malik Thomas, who's over 40% on the season, and now that percentage goes up with his 5 of 6. Most of that work was from him. The rest of the team was 3 of 10, but TB was 2 of 4, but 8 of 16, 50%, 11 of 19 again against Texas. So what is that? 19 of Arkansas's last 35. That's beyond elite. That's blistering hot from distance, and that's the way you want to finish out your regular season. Arkansas was already, a top five offense and a good 3-point shooting team, but that's kind of taking it to another level. Free throws, Arkansas struggled today. You had Euan started the game 0 for 3. TB had an 0 for 2 trip. Leak, who's Arkansas's best free throw shooter, missed one. DJ Wagner going 0 for 2. I mean, Arkansas had three players go 0 for 2 different times. So you go 14 of 22, 63.6%. So if you have a complaint, it's the free throw line. Missouri ends up 30 of 63, 47.6% field goal shooting. Arkansas's given up, including Missouri at home, multiple games, consecutive games of 50 plus percent from the field. And Arkansas's offense has just been better to compensate for a soft defense. Well, today Arkansas was a little tougher, and this came on the road again, 47.6%. It's not like a lockdown defense, but numerically, percentage wise, efficiency wise, it's a tick better than what it's been. 6 of 20 from three for 30% for Missouri. So the perimeter defense was solid. And I mentioned that with DJ, a big part of that. Free throws, 18 of 24, 75%. Missouri better at the foul line than Arkansas, but it wasn't enough because of the 3-point discrepancy in the overall field goal difference advantage Arkansas. When you look at some of the other stats, turnovers, Arkansas plus 2, 13 to 11. Back-to-back games where Arkansas has gotten a double-digit turnovers, they usually keep it, they try to keep it to 5, 6, maybe 7. So the last two games, it's a bit concerning. Points off turnovers plus 3 for Missouri. So even though Arkansas won the turnover battle, lost the points off turnover 18 to 15. Arkansas won rebounding. Second game in a row, they were plus 4 in total rebounds against Texas, plus 4 again. 38-34 on the glass. That is a big time stat because both of those teams had maybe some rebounding advantages over Arkansas, and Arkansas can check up short in that department, but not in these last two games and not today. Offensive rebounds, Arkansas plus 3, Arkansas plus 3 as well in second chance points, 14-11, 13-10 in offensive rebounds, 14-11 in second chance points. And a lot of that was Euan and TB. TB hit a couple of threes, but he also got on the offensive glass and, had a putback dunk or two, at least 2 putbacks in this game. But Arkansas did a great job in those categories. Points in the paint, Missouri plus 4, but Arkansas did better in this game against Missouri than they did at home when you look at the paint differential. Bench scoring, this was a big advantage for Arkansas, 17-5. And that's all of those points because Sealy didn't score, and you were down to 7, and Sealy only played 4 minutes. 17 points in 31 minutes from Malik Euan. And again, 15 of those points. He started 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 2 at the line. He had 2 points in the first 32 minutes, and Arkansas was down 5. And he was a box score minus 10. He scores 15 points in the last 13 minutes, 8 regulation, 5 overtime. And that bench scoring is plus 12 for Arkansas because of Malik Euan. Fast break scoring, Arkansas plus 2, 10-8. This was more of a grind game, not a lot of chance to get out and run. Arkansas did some in transition in the first half, not so much in the second half. Blocks, Arkansas plus 1, 5-4. Steals, Arkansas plus 2, 8-6. And assist, Arkansas plus 2, 13-11. So Arkansas won most of the statistical categories here. and won the game by 4. This is one of Arkansas's most impressive quad one wins of the season. Arkansas improves to 7-8 in quad one games, by the way. This was not a ranked team, but Arkansas's final record in the regular season against ranked teams is 4-6. But 7-8 in quad one games. Now, here's something interesting to keep an eye on. LSU is 75th in net. They're the low man on the totem pole in the SEC with the fewest amount of wins. I think only 3. I think every other team has 4 or more wins. LSU is hosting Texas A&M tonight in this regular season finale, or today. LSU 75th in net. Arkansas won at LSU, which counts as one of those 7 quad one wins. But a team in a road game has to be ranked in the top 75 in net to count as a quad one. If LSU loses at home to Texas A&M tonight, we'll have to see tomorrow if LSU remains net 75 or better. If LSU wins at home tonight against A&M, I expect LSU to stay in the top 75. Don't know that they'll move up or if they'll move up much, but that wouldn't matter. And then so we'll see what happens. So there's a possibility when you wake up and look at it tomorrow, you look at it and go, wait a minute, that was a quad one win against Missouri. They're in the top, 60 or whatever in net, and that's a road win. All you got to be is top 75. Well, if LSU loses tonight, and slips out of the top 75, then you lose a quad one win, and then you're back to 6-8. The other thing is, it's still going to continue to change with the SEC tournament because conference tournament play net keeps updating, the quad win value system keeps updating. All of that comes to an end when all the conference tournament results are completed, and then you have selection Sunday, and the field is set for the NCAA tournament. So the work you do after that, you can count it as a quad one win, talking about it, but there are no more recalibrations and calculations in terms of net and those kinds of things. Those things end. The purpose is simply to help set seating and determine which teams get at-large bids. And so once that settles and the 68-team field is selected, those things kind of come to a halt. All right. So again, Arkansas 23-8, 13-5 in league play. That's the best finish Arkansas's had in league play in several years. They've had losing records in league play in 3 consecutive seasons. So we know they'd already established a winning record, but the 13-4 that Arkansas had in their first Elite Eight run under Eric Patrick Musselman in the 2020-21 season, the COVID shortened year, Arkansas went 13-4 in league play. So actually, because of COVID, they didn't have a game against A&M that would have normally been played. It was canceled and never made. It was not even postponed. It was just canceled. So Arkansas went 13-4, only played 17 games. So this is Arkansas's best record since then. And I think Arkansas came into today. In fact, they did. Let's take a look at it. When you look at Lenardi, this bracketology he put out last night around 8 p.m. Central Time, I retweeted it, and if he's updated it already today, I haven't seen it, but Arkansas was the first of the 4-5 seeds, so really close to maybe being a 4 seed. We'll see if Arkansas shifts into 4 seed mode in his next updates, or as we move into tomorrow. Throughout the day he'll update it, so we'll see what happens there. But another interesting thing here is Arkansas, I think, still has a chance to be a 3 seed with this win today, and I'll tell you how. If Arkansas goes 3-0 in the SEC tournament, including a win over Florida on a neutral site, who's a top 10 team in net, Arkansas will have picked up more than at least 2 quad one wins in that scenario away from home, and maybe 3. But at that point, you're potentially at 10 quad one wins, and you only have 8 losses, and you have 26 wins, 26-8. You might need a little help with some other teams on the 3 line losing, but I think at that point and the SEC is going to get as many teams as anybody, probably, maybe the Big Ten in the NCAA tournament. I just think at that point Arkansas would probably find a way to be a 3 seed. Just my guess. We'll see what happens. I'm not predicting Arkansas is going to do this and win 3 games in a row in the SEC tournament, but if they do, and one of those wins would be Florida, and that would come in the tournament championship game on Sunday, March 15th, and then Selection Sunday's a bit later. You don't see a whole lot of value in these conference tournaments, in terms of jumping very much in the seed line, but let's see where Arkansas is when the dust settles with what other teams do today. And there'll be some regular season finales and some Power Five stuff probably on Sunday as well. But let's see where Arkansas is projected on that 4 seed line. And then again, a run like that, coupled with a couple of teams on the 3 line, uh, and maybe uh, somewhere on the 4 line as well, not faring as well to finish out the final weekend of the regular season, and then in their conference tournaments, there may be a path for that. Otherwise, Arkansas, is probably going to be a 4 or 5 seed. I think the win today pretty much removes Arkansas from any chance of sliding to a 6. I think if you lost today, lost the first round of the SEC tournament, you probably were going to get a 5 anyway. It was probably highly unlikely that Arkansas was going to slip to a 6, but at this, and it may be just only slightly more likely that winning the SEC tournament and getting the automatic bid and beating Florida in that scenario, it's probably just only slightly more likely that that'll be good enough for Arkansas to get a 3 seed. But I think if that does happen, and 2 or 3 teams falter that are ahead of the pecking order, again, repeating myself, I think Arkansas might just sneak in as a 3. We'll see. It may be wishful thinking on my part. All right, we're 41 minutes in. Let's get into let's look at, and I wanted to do this. I thought I brought this in, and I guess I didn't. I thought I brought in the league standings just to show you since we were talking about it. But again, Arkansas 13-5, Bama right now 12-5. Tide got to beat Auburn to get to 13-5. That would be a tie record wise with Arkansas, but the seeding head to head goes to Bama in that scenario. An Auburn win again. Arkansas is the outright second place finisher in the league and gets the 2 seed. Looks like Vanderbilt's maybe going to hold on here, up 80-73 with 47 seconds left in Knoxville. And so Tennessee had a chance by virtue, if it won today, finishing in sole possession of 4th place. Now it's going to be a muddled mess, I guess, battling for that 4th and final double bye in the SEC tournament quarterfinals. How about the ACUF scenario? Earlier today, I tweeted this out. I got word that Arkansas freshman guard Darius Acuff Jr. has been named a finalist to the 2026 Men's National Ballot for the John R. Wooden Award. That's presented after the season to the nation's best college basketball player. No surprise there. Good for Acuff. This came out from OptaStats just a few days ago, or a couple of days ago. And of course, Acuff didn't play today, so his stats don't change. 20 plus points, 5 plus assists, 40 plus % from 3, 3 plus assist to turnover ratio, 3 plus to 1. No other Division I player of any class has ever done that in a season. Ever. Never. It's never happened. Now, he says that he's got a qualifier, minimum of 75% of team games played, but that matters because you can have a small enough sample size where you can have some great stretches and accomplish some statistical stuff, but you got to prove it over and over again. This dude played 30 of 31 games, and this is not a collection of unusual stats to build a narrative. These are all the stats that matter the most when you're talking about a lead guard that can score. Leads the SEC in scoring, leads the league in assists at 6.4. He's efficient. He's a near 50% field goal shooter overall. It's insane for a lead guard in this era. 44% from 3, 80% free throw shooter. Only, again, a 3 plus to 1 assist to turnover ratio. It's insane work. Those are all the stats that matter for a guy running your team. And then you look at Arkansas's record, again, finishing second in the SEC behind the defending national champion and a team that looks like it might be heading back to a Final Four potentially in Florida. Arkansas, Acuff's contributions have mattered on a team that is relevant. So to me, when you look at something like that, it carries a lot of weight in terms of beyond just a generational talent. This guy is doing stuff that multiple generations haven't been able to accomplish. So that preceded him. A few days ago, named first team All-American by John Rothstein, CBS Sports, College Hoops Today, who also turned around and said that Acuff, this little clip from his podcast, I'm not going to be able to play it here, but he said he submitted himself as the best point guard in college basketball. I keep saying it, Acuff should be not only the SEC Player of the Year, not first team All American, but in the conversation for Player of the Year in college basketball. It's probably going to go to Cam Boozer and Duke because they're ranked higher. They're the number one team. So the team's had a better season. He's been great from start to finish. Acuff has too. But I think some outlet is probably going to recognize Acuff as Player of the Year. I think someone's going to jump up, some outlet that's recognizable that you've heard of before, and so I think there's a great shot of at least one, maybe more of that. Um, when we start talking about what Mike Miller said, or excuse me, Sean Miller said post game in that press conference at BWA after his Longhorns lost by 20, before we could ask him, the media could ask a question, and I got the first shot asking questions after his opening statement, which was about 4 or 5 minutes, but more than half of it was just heaping the greatest of praises for Darius Acuff. He's in 30 plus years, he's not seen a player at his position, and this was a really good point guard in his own right back in the heyday of the Big East and the Pitt Panthers and some of their great teams. Sean Miller knows the position because he played it at a high level, and then he's coached for so long. And here he is in the SEC at the end of the year, and where he could just, a lot of coaches are going to maybe defer from saying too much to pat the other team or individual players on the back. But he went overboard to talk about how special Acuff is and how special this season has been and how great he really is. And this thing went viral. This is a photo image of my tweet that went out, but this was actually a video. And I think I was the first one to get out his comments about Acuff, and then it went viral. ESPN had it on there on their Sports Center programming, multiple podcasts in the days that followed, running clips of that and talking about it. And it's actually helped boost Acuff, in social media and in the landscape of college basketball. Everybody already knows how great he is, but this is way beyond a 49-point performance. I mean, the dude is insane. We just went through some of those metrics, but 5 double doubles, including Texas, 28 points of career high, matching 13 assists, and just the consistency and efficiency at such a high level and high volume of production. And then again, the results in wins and losses. It is unreal. And so, one of the things I want to talk about before we shift into recruiting here for a little bit is a couple of things. One is I think Acuff's going to be a consensus All American. Arkansas has only had one consensus All American in the history of the program. It's Sidney Moncrief, the GOAT, the only Naismith Hall of Famer from the men's basketball program as a player. They got three coaches: the GOAT in coaching, Nolan Richardson, the GOAT into Arkansas coaching, Eddie Sutton, and now John Calipari. But only one player, and it's Moncrief. And if you look at him, he's the GOAT as a Razorback. He's a GOAT as a pro hog. And then you combine it all together, there's just no replacing that. But he's the only consensus All American back in the day, up until the 95-96 season when the UPI, United Press International, stopped having an All American teams and naming All American teams. Up until that point, they were part of the Big Four. When you start talking about the biggest four All American teams that get announced at the end of each season, it's the Associated Press, the United States Basketball Writers Association, the USBWA, the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, and the UPI, United Press International. So those four. So when you talk about consensus All American, consensus, if you look it up in the dictionary, means agreement. You got to reach an agreement. So you can't just agree with yourself. That's one. You need more than one to be consensus. Moncrief got three of the four. UPI stood him up. They put him on second team in the 78-79 season. He was a senior. The other two triplets were gone from the previous year, the Final Four run. And Moncrief, AP, USBWA, NABC, first team All American. UPI had him second. He was a consensus All American because there was agreement. It wasn't just one. In addition to Moncrief, Arkansas's had only one other first team All American, not consensus, and it's going to surprise you, but it was Ron Brewer Sr. the year before. Ron Brewer Sr. was a first team All American according to the United States Basketball Writers Association. I think he was second team on AP, and then NABC and UPI didn't even have him on any of their teams. Oddly enough, Moncrief was on three as a junior, three of those four teams, one as a second-team All-American, and two of them had him as a third-team All-American. So of the big four that determine your consensus All-American, you had Moncrief with 3 nods as a junior, not first team though, but Brewer got it. So those two guys back to back are the only first team All Americans of any kind. When you look at the big four services that for decades were recognized as the ones you pointed to as the valid All American selections. Now there are a lot more outlets now. Naismith does a team. There are several that are, and they're good. It's not like you just dismiss them, but the standard was the standard for decades. And so Moncrief was the only consensus first team All American in program history. Ron Brewer Sr., the only Arkansas player to get one of those recognized first team All American nods, but he only got one again. Corliss Williamson, the same four, the same standard, was a consensus second team All American. All four of those outlets. In 93, 94, when Arkansas won the championship, he was SEC Player of the Year. He was the most outstanding player of the Final Four that year, but he was a second team All American according to AP, UPI, USB, WA, NABC. Now, there were some offshoot outlets that had him as a first team All American, and good for him. I think he should have been. But technically, he was a consensus second team All American. The exact same thing the year after his junior year when Arkansas was national runner up. SEC Player of the Year, consensus, but all four second team All American for Corliss Williamson. He was also the SEC Male Athlete of the Year in there, either his sophomore or junior year. I mean, this dude had everything you wanted in it and the school's only national title. But technically, so I'm going on and on. Acuff's going to be the second first team All American, consensus first team All American Arkansas's ever had. This dude, again, the GOAT is Moncrief, but I think Acuff's season will go down as the greatest season ever by a Razorback. Because he was out today, he's got work to do to catch Todd Day as the all-time leading scorer in a single season. Day's at 770 points in a season. Acuff is 104 points behind him. He can do it, but Arkansas is going to need to make a run either in the SEC tournament or some level of runs in both the tournament combined with the NCAA tournament. And you hope it's the NCAA tournament that he does it. So there's a path for him to do it. It's just he needs enough games to do it. He's, I think, like 26 or 27 assists behind Kareem Reed, who has the single season all-time assist record for Arkansas. Again, manageable based upon, though, how many games Arkansas still plays. I mean, in theory, Arkansas has no more than 2 games guaranteed. Double the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament and then a first round game in the NCAA tournament. So we can only count on 2 for sure. So you need Arkansas to win some games. But the fact that Acuff is second to all time in a season in 2 different categories to 2 different players from 2 different eras is insane work. It just is. I mean, this guy, it's the greatest season ever as a Razorback, a true freshman. And again, the consensus first team All American thing is coming down the pike. All right, let's get into recruiting a little bit. If you haven't seen this already, go check out my 30-minute interview with Jordan Smith Jr. This was arguably the best interview I've been a part of. It's in the top 5 for sure. And I've interviewed a lot of players before they were Razorbacks, while they were Razorbacks, pro hogs, all of it. This young man was thoughtful, articulate, a pro's pro when it comes to dealing with the media in addition to how great of a player he is. Had some really good nuggets with conversations he had with J.J. Andrews, who's going to be his 5-star teammate as freshman at Arkansas next year, talking about Acuff and what he was doing, all kinds of stuff that you need to see if you haven't seen it already. So go check that out. Beckham Black and his visit. People keep asking me because I put this tweet out on Wednesday, while I was on my way to Fayetteville to cover that Arkansas-Texas game, that he'd be in the house. It was his second consecutive year to be in Fayetteville. For unofficially for a game. It was the OU game a year ago in January, I believe. So this time he sneaks in for the home regular season finale for that huge win over Texas. But I didn't get photos out of him at the game. I actually got to the game later than I normally do. And so I had other stuff I needed to do there, and I couldn't easily find him. And so I was distracted with other stuff I needed to get done and ready for the game. So people kept asking me, well, you reported that he's going to be there. Was he there? And so the answer is yes, he was absolutely there. I was in communication with his mom, Jennifer Black. This is a top 5 rated 5-star. ranked as high as number 3 in the class of 2027, so he's a high school junior. He's been on campus countless times when his brother, Anthony Black, was visiting and then playing games as a one and done Razorback, a 5-star in his own right, coming to campus when he became a Razorback. And then, of course, he's been on campus since, Beckham Black. But he was absolutely there. And so people are asking me about the feedback. And I already gave some intel Wednesday night on our postgame show that prior to him coming in, I had a source, a Division One assistant coach, tell me that Arkansas staff feels good where they are with Beckham Black. All right, real quick. Vanderbilt wins by 4, another 4-point game in the 80s, 86-82 at Tennessee. So I think Tennessee, I don't know what the log jam is going to be, but I don't know that Tennessee has a pathway now for that 4 seed in the double bye. So we'll see what happens. Um, you know, um, I think Kentucky, now Kentucky's down to Florida early, 5 minutes into the first half at home. Kentucky at Rupp, down 11-2. So if Kentucky beats Florida, I think the Wildcats may have the best path to winning. Um, maybe I'm trying to think through this. If A&M wins at LSU, A&M will be in a tie for 4th place with Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm not sure how it all shakes out, and so I'm not gonna misspeak here. But we're talking about Beckham Black. And so I already had a source info I gave you that going into the visit, that Arkansas's coaching staff feels good where they are. So here's what I'm told. This is feedback, and this did not come from his family. uh, Jennifer Black, Beckham Black, they've kept things close to the vest for their own reasons after these 2 unofficial visits. Again, last year, the home game against OU, this year, the home game against Texas. They've kept things close to the vest and they have their reasons for that. And part of that is there's a plan for an official visit at some point, but they're really trying to not, they understand how rabid this fan base is about Anthony Black, about this family. They loved their time at Arkansas when AB was here for a year. And so they want to get closer to feeling a certain way about things, maybe before some of the feedback gets out. Now they could change their mind on that and do something sooner. But what I'm about to tell you, and this is new intel, is not coming from the Black family. But I have another source, not the same D1 assistant going into the visit that told me what he told me. Another source that says that that much was accomplished on this unofficial visit in terms of the vibes continuing to grow and get stronger. The bonds getting stronger, the vibes getting better. And they're already great vibes again for the Arkansas program with the previous coaching staff, the experience, and the Acuff scenario, sitting courtside and watch what Acuff did the other night. Again, Jordan Smith Jr. talks about it. Arkansas is trying to keep that lead guard train running under Calipari. He's done it throughout his career. He's done it so far at Arkansas. But for an unofficial visit, what I'm told is it just couldn't have been much better. It doesn't mean that there's a silent commitment. I'm not trying to tell you that. It doesn't mean that it's a shoe in. It doesn't mean that things don't change in recruiting, because they do. But as of now, there's continuing growing momentum. And so that's great intel. And I know it's not portal intel right now. I'm still working on some of that stuff. I've been teasing the last couple of times we've been on that I've got a little bit of conflicting stuff going on some portal intel that I have that I still don't have resolved. And my sources are asking me not to speak on it specifically. So I'm not, because I want to get it right. And so we're going to have an update soon. I'm getting closer and closer on that. I promise to have that. But you are getting new intel today, and it's based on, again, Beckham Black's unofficial visit for that game. Arkansas had another unofficial visitor in. I tweeted this out the day after the game. Again, I got there late, about 45 minutes later than I normally do. I still got there before the game started, so I was a little behind on everything on my coverage. But the next day, I tweeted out that Trey Edwards, the top 50 rated 4-star guard in the 28 class, so a high school sophomore, Melissa, Texas, the Dallas area, 6'6", big guard. We knew he was coming in for a visit. We reported that weeks ago. But he gave me feedback about the visit. And I did get a photo of him because even though I got in so late, he was still lingering on the bench area where the team was warming up. And I caught that, and I went ahead and got a really bad picture. But here's what he told me. There was the feedback. I love the visit. The coaching staff and trainers really impressed me. Atmosphere was crazy, and the place was sold out. The fans showed us a lot of love. Pretty cool that a lot of the kids knew me and asked for a picture and autograph. So that was the feedback from Trey Edwards in the house again for Arkansas, Texas. So two visitors in. Anthony Spratt Jr., speaking of class of 2028, has that hog offer. Earlier in the week in early round action of the 6A, or excuse me, the 5A state tournament up in Farmington. Spratt with a stat sheet stuffer, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks, and a 76-55 win over Maumelle. Spratt and Benton were playing the host Farmington or at some point earlier today. I've not seen the result of that in the quarterfinals, or excuse me, the semifinals of the 5A state boys tournament. So I don't have results on that. I believe that's right. Is it Benton? Is that who's playing Farmington? Maybe Benton's actually playing tonight against Parkview, and I'm getting this screwed up. Farmington, I'm not sure now. I think Farmington might be playing Marion, and maybe it's Benton playing Parkview tonight. I've got my eggs scrambled right now. Either way, big game for him. Now, this is a guy that gets a lot of double doubles, but he had did a little bit of everything in that big win. Kudos to Anthony Spratt to help his team win in advance. Elijah Bryant, a couple of days ago, he's the one that played earlier today. And I know North Little Rock was playing Little Rock Central, North Little Rock versus Little Rock Central in the 6A um, semifinals in Bryant. And I was here for this game. These are highlights that I took a couple of days ago. Bryant had 3 shot attempts in the first half. The Charging Wildcats are an interesting team. This is one of the most talented offensive players in the state and the country. I mean, one of the most gifted offensive players I've seen, and it's malpractice that he only had 3 shot attempts and a half. It wasn't his fault. But he took this game over offensively, did a lot defensively as well. Finished with 19 points, 7 of 14 from three, or excuse me, from the field, including 5 of 8 from three, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, a couple of blocks. North Little Rock fell behind 7 or 8 points in the second half, ended up coming back after he started heating up, taking over and getting shots up. They started running stuff for him, 55-47 to advance. And again, that was the quarterfinals. And I don't know the result today with North Little Rock taking on Little Rock Central, if it's gone final, probably. But kudos to Elijah Bryant. He's taken an unofficial visit to Arkansas. The staff has been recruiting him. Multiple high majors, including several SEC teams, including Kentucky, are involved, showing interest. And so this is, a young man to keep an eye on. We know that. And then we're keeping our eyes on Arkansas targets in state, around the country. And Arkansas continues to try to build momentum in recruiting the greatest high school recruiter ever, John Calipari. So it's relevant to me to continue to talk about, because even though we're getting closer and closer to portal season and we're starting to talk about that, all of this stuff matters right now, even for guys that aren't in that 2026 class. Arkansas has already got the second ranked class with Jordan Smith Jr., JJ Andrews, and Abdu Torre, all 5 stars. 2 of those will be in the upcoming McDonald's All American game soon. In Smith and Andrews, and then JSJ also likely in that Chipotle National Championship field. Keeping an eye on all of that. Want to thank all of you. It's the first time I've gone over an hour in a while. I was really long-winded today, but a lot going on as we wrap up the regular season. And now Arkansas turns its attention to the SEC tournament. Darius Acuff, dealing with that ankle, is expected to be back, fully ready to go. Again, Arkansas is off in terms of days between games for going from a Saturday to a double bye berth to the quarterfinals on Friday, March 13th. So plenty of time for Acuff and the crew to get well and get ready. We'll see if there's any Carter Knox in the mix, not counting on that. But honestly, what we saw from Arkansas today without Acuff shows not only the talent level throughout this roster, but I think it also shows that Arkansas, there are lineups, if you could get away with playing them long enough, that would make them better defensively. The problem is you got to take Acuff off the court too long for that really to kick in too much. So you've just got to figure out a way to still get better on that end of the court, because you want Acuff back. You don't want to be rolling into the postseason without him. Until next time, we appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me on HogvilleNET Hoops. I'm your host, Kevin McPherson. Be great in all your endeavors. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you soon.